if you're saying it's not real, it's only perceived, which
Mhm.
basically means there's no distinction between man and God. So if that's the case,
Exactly.
then
Right.
there's
Right.
if that's the case, then that there is no God. If there is no distinction between man and God, then that means by definition there is no God.
No, no, there is only God. By that definition, there's only God. There's no
The,
there's no man
but the thing is,
separate from.
but the problem is, if there's only saying there is only God is the same way as saying there is no God. It's like if I'm saying everybody's special. If someone says everybody is special, then no one is really special.
Maybe you can tell us why you think Hinduism is the truth. How
No, no,
about
no,
that?
no, no, no. I'm not saying Hinduism is the truth. I'm saying there are wide varieties of um, ways to realize the truth. The truth by itself is way too large to be understood by any one viewpoint. You can have multiple viewpoints trying to understand the truth, but the truth.
Okay, let me
Uh,
rephrase that.
mhm.
Does truth have internal contradictions?
Yeah, I mean, depends upon how much of the truth you've understood.
No, if the truth has internal contradictions, how is it the truth?
See, the truth by itself is it's humongously large, right? It's unfathomably large because that's what the ultimate truth is, right? The moment you say this is the truth, it stops being the ultimate truth. It only becomes a certain part of the truth because that's the part your mind has grasped.
No,
Right?
hold
No,
on,
man,
hold on.
it becomes a falsehood.
In order for you to establish if something is a truth or not the truth, your mind has to grasp it, obviously.
Yeah. So
You
there
understand?
are levels. So there are levels of proof. There's the physical level and the empirical level where we can touch and feel things or verify through our senses. So that's a verifiable truth. Now beyond that, there's a certain philosophical truth that we have to believe or accept because our senses have stopped working beyond that limit, that spectrum. So I mean, if there's a certain way we look at the world, we have to extrapolate that viewpoint beyond our spectrum of verifiability,
If it
and
is
that's how.
beyond your scope, then regardless of whether it's the truth or not the truth, you can't grasp it.
Of course, you cannot grasp it, but you can
Exactly.
experience
So
it.
let's stay within the scope of what we can grasp as human beings. I'm not telling you to
Yes.
look beyond your scope. I'm talking about within the scope of humankind. Yeah. So, for example, if I were to tell you that 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, and if that is the truth, can it
Yes.
ever be 2 plus 2 is equal to 5?
No, but that's again
That's
a
what I meant
physically
by internal contradiction.
right.
So
Okay.
when you have
Yeah.
a truth, it cannot have internal contradiction. Otherwise, you would not have it as a truth. You wouldn't define that as a truth.
Definitely, this is our a very very easily verifiable, a verifiable truth. This is within our
Yes,
empirical.
and this is from the example of the philosophical truth. Maths is a philosophy. You know that.
Yeah, maths. Yeah, of course, it's a philosophical expression
Yes.
of.
So it's not something tangible. You will not find number 2 floating in the sky or
No,
number
no, no, no.
5
But
floating there.
no, no. But
So this is what
no,
I'm
no.
saying. So
No, but
if you have established something as the truth, then you cannot say it cannot be very wide. It can have many spectrums. You can't say all those things. Those
no, no.
things don't
But
make sense.
in mathematics, every idea correlates to something in the real world, in the physically verifiable world.
Yeah, it does
Like
correlate. But you
no,
cannot have something which is contradictory even within maths.
definitely not. Of course not.
Good.
I mean that's
So you
that's
agree
not
with
possible.
me that internal contradictions, the truth should be free from internal contradiction. So, for example, if I were to
Yeah.
tell you that God is one, you cannot say God is multiple because that would be a
Okay.
contradiction.
No, 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 no.
Why
Because
not?
now when you say God is one, you've already crossed the physically verifiable level. I mean, physically verifiable level of spectrum of understanding, right? You've gone beyond
Why
this.
is it? Beyond? So, is one equal to multiple, or is one equal
No,
to
no,
one?
no, 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 no. God is beyond our verifiable spectrum of understanding. So therefore, one
What do you mean
automatically.
by verifiable? How would you
Yeah,
verify God's existence?
because God ultimately it's a matter of I mean, to put it in a cliched way, it's a matter of faith. But I mean, let me explain what that cliched statement means. Is because you reason as to how the world exists and what is the nature of reality, and when you peel back layers of existence, then ultimately you reach a point where it's not logically explainable anymore. And that's why you need to resort to.
Is it logically possible for God to communicate to us and tell us He's uniquely one and there's none besides Him? Is it possible for Him to do that?
I am not from that. Lineage, so I will reserve my comment on that.
No, but is it logically possible?
Are you like putting?
Can God communicate with us or not?
See, the moment somebody communicates with you, right? In order to communicate with you, it has to be available in a manner understandable by you.
What do you mean by that?
In the sense, if I'm talking to you, the least minimum I can do is have some common sense of language or explanation, right? That's the bare minimum.
Why is that not? So we must be able to understand what God tells us, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
When He communicates to us. So
right.
The question is, when I asked you, can He communicate with us? What I meant by that is it possible for Him to communicate to us in a way that we understand, regardless of what language it is in?
It is possible, but again, it is only a limited communication. I mean, it's only a limited entity.
How do you know that?
Because
it's limited.
Yeah, because your understanding is based on, of course, your filters and your perceptions, right? Let's say
I'm saying if God can communicate to us in whatever way, as long as He can convey the message that He wants to convey to us, is that a possibility?
It is a possibility, yes.
Khalas, then that's it. Then He can communicate to us that He's one.
It is a possibility,
and there is none besides Him.
No, it is a possibility. It is not the possibility. It's a possibility.
Even if it is a possibility,
I'll tell you what
He can communicate to us that He's one and unique and there's none besides Him. Then I think that should tell us that is the truth.
No, I'll tell you what's our in our tradition, how it happens. Okay.
Go
in our tradition, we the realization of divinity or God, as we say, is through an inquiry of nature as to what the reality of nature is and how things have come to be and what's the the fundamental building block of nature. And that's how when we peel back layers of truth and peel back physical possibilities and then get into
that's the other way. So you're saying one is from God,
and the other way is
directly, and the other way is from His creation, from His existence. We come to infer that God exists.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So
one is from Him, the other is from His creation. I agree. There's both ways, and in fact, the Quran in Surah Al-Fussilat has pointed us to this. That Allah is telling us to look for signs beyond the horizon and within ourselves to know Him. Yes. So this is something He's already told us in the Quran. He's also told us in the Quran that He's one and unique. In Surah Al-Ikhlas, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. So He tells us specifically who He is. He also tells us to reflect on His creation and then infer His existence, that all of this has been created by Almighty. So we have both answers, my friend. But as a Hindu, I'm asking you, what is your source of the truth?
Okay. So so when we in Hinduism, the Vedic schools of thought, there are 6 schools of thought and 6 ways in which we tend to understand the ultimate reality.
So 6 possibilities.
No, not 6 possibilities.
Not the possibility, right?
No. 6 modes of.
No, just kidding. I'm just razzing.
Not 6 possibilities, but 6 ways of understanding the world.
Gotcha.
As to what are the valid sources of how you can understand the world. So I mean, of course, there are, but the current favorite in the present generation is the Vedanta method, and the yoga and the Vedanta method, where we peel back and we peel back the physical layers and we say that there is if things exist and then these things cannot be. When you peel back, it boils down to more and more towards a oneness, and the ultimate reality could only be an absolute oneness where everything is just one. You, I, the world, the physical, the non-physical concepts, everything is just one reality that we call the Brahman. That's the Vedantic explanation of reality.
All right. So
okay. So when you say you peel everything and you come to the oneness, okay, you're appealing to the Advaita Vedantic philosophy.
The Vedantic philosophy, see, I mean, now in Advaita, these are, more advanced levels of understanding. First of all, we need to, before
I need to know from which perspective you're coming, because the Advaita, when they talk about the non-duality, how the Dawahwise explain it, which is the duality. So as Muslims, we believe that Allah or God Almighty is distinct from His creation. We don't see it as one existence.
Yeah, definitely. That's a very major. That's a very major.
Yeah, the Advaita philosophy believes in the panentheism, where they believe the entire universe or all of existence is within God. Yeah, so we need to understand the two in order to get.
You're not getting.
Which philosophy are you coming from? The Advaita or the Advaita?
Hold on. Advaita does not correspond to the correlate to the Islamic understanding or the Abrahamic understanding of the world, where the God
not
is
Abrahamic, but they believe in a duality, which means that
there's a duality,
that God exists and the universe exists as separate.
Yes, and then there's a third step to this, which is the Visheshta Advaita, which says there is no real difference. The difference is only a perceived difference. So, I mean, you have to take all of the, when you say Vedanta, you have to take all three.
Even the third possibility is very similar to the Advaita, where they believe in the non-dual. Yeah. So that's why I'm telling. Which perspective are you coming from? The dual or the non-dual?
I would say the third one, which says that there is a difference, but it's only a perceived difference. It's not a real difference.
So I don't know who wants to take this on. Prasun is saying the existence, or sorry, the creation and the creator is a perceived difference. It's not. They are not distinct from one another. If I understand you, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, Prasun.
Come again. Just let's restate that.
So the creator or the Almighty and the existence or the creation are not distinct from one another. It's only a perceived distinction.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Fawad, you want to take that, or Alie? I don't know if you guys understood the dual or the non-dual.
I understood. I think Ali would.
I mean, I would like to know, what does it mean?
Anyway,
can you elaborate more on?
I need to go because, as you know, I'm actually on a break. So inshallah, I'll join you guys next time. It's been
you're leaving already?
Hours.
You're leaving already?
Yeah, I'm leaving in the capable hands of my good panelists here. Inshallah, I'm sure they can manage. They need to learn about Hinduism. Prasun, you can teach them as well.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
All right, take care, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. So, I would like to know, can you elaborate more on what you mean by perceived distinction?
So you understand the world and the divine through human in human terms. Okay, if you just explain the phone's just a minute, yeah. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so I want to know if you know where. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we understand the world in human terms, right? So even the understanding of God is a human understanding. It's not unless there is a certain duality that exists, unless you acknowledge that you exist, you'll not be able to understand divinity, right? So you're already acknowledging that you are separate, existing, right? So when you acknowledge that you exist, your ego is already in function. Your ego is already doing its function. You are seeing yourself as separate from the world, right? And therefore, when we acknowledge that there is a creator and there is us, the duality is already imbibed in our heads. But then this duality is only a perceived duality. It's not real. I don't know if I made sense to you. So
if you're saying it's not real, but I was gonna say, if you're saying it's not real, it's only perceived, which basically means there's no distinction between man and God. So if that's the case, then if that's the case, then that there is no God. If there is no distinction between man and God, then that means by definition there is no God.
No, there is only God. By that definition, there's only God. There's no man.
But the thing is, but the problem is, if there's only saying there is only God is the same way as saying there is no God.
Sorry.
Saying there is only God, by definition, by its meaning,
Okay,
It's
okay,
another way of saying there is no God. It's like someone saying it's like someone. One second. It's like if I'm saying everybody's special. If someone says everybody is special, then no one is really special.
No, so when we say
that's the concept I'm understanding.
Yeah. So when we say there's only God, of course, our the definition of God would be largely different in Abrahamic and pagan religions. So coming from the pagan viewpoint, we are when we say there's only God, which means the fundamental building block of truth of the world is ultimately God, divinity. That's the fundamental truth that exists, and that's the only truth that exists because that is an unchanging truth. The world changes, therefore the world is not real. Of course, it's real in its own limitation, but ultimately it's not real. So that's the Vedic. I mean, Vedantic understanding.
Okay, so I'm understanding it more the way you're talking. But the problem, I still have a problem with it because when you say there's no distinction, because what I'm hearing now is there's no distinction between God and man, and also there's no distinction between the meaning there is no distinction between the creator and the creation.
Did you say there's? Yeah, your voice is breaking a bit. So if you could just repeat the last.
So you're saying there's no difference between man and God, which there's no distinction between man and God, and there is also no distinction between creation and creator, which is highly problematic because when you're saying this concept about God, and I would just let's take things back a step. Define God for me. What is your understanding of God?
Right. So this is a very fundamental difference of in the understanding of the God that in Abrahamic versus pagan faiths is that
no. So here's the thing. Here's the problem. I don't want to say because right now I'm not speaking as a Muslim. I'm simply speaking as someone with rationality. What is because there is a general understanding of what defines God. So tell me what that means.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you're saying you being rational, again your preconceived notions are already playing in play, right? You can only perceive truth with your preconceived your prededication. You cannot have truth free of your your filters. So anyhow, I'll try to bridge the gap between right now. So when we say God, at least in Hinduism, when we say God, we are talking about the primary cause. Okay, we're not saying that there's a creator, there's a different person, a certain person who's creating, or there's a person somewhere else. We're peeling back to the primary cause of how things are existing, and we break it down to only two fundamental possibility elements that could be the primary causes. One is the intent cause, and the other is matter. Matter not in a physical sense matter, but matter which is in a more subtle sense, which means things that create existence. So there's an intention, and then there's a set of rules which create through the intention creates the world. So we are existing in a world which is a gradual build-up of this complexity, and as human beings, we are somewhere on the upper echelons of this existence.
So, with all due respect, you kind of deviated a little bit because all I really asked was just to define God for me. So, because when we have this understanding, and this is a universal understanding what we have as God, it means necessary. So, this understanding of what it means to be God, in a sense, it means necessary. So, I would just say this, okay? By any chance, are you within science? Are you dealing with something that uses the science? Are you of the scientific method, right? Sorry, not the scientific method of a scientific experiment, correct?
Your voice is breaking quite a lot. There's a lot of feedback.
So are you knowledgeable about a scientific experiment? Are you aware of that? Like independent variable, dependent variable.
Now maybe I don't know the terms, but maybe if you explain
them
to me.
So no, I'll explain to you. It's okay. So when you're doing a scientific experiment, right? There are several things. There are several factors that you have to determine. One of those factors is the independent variable and the dependent variable, right? Now, variables are things that have an effect, or things that are affected, or things that you're using within the experiment to prove your hypothesis or to disprove your hypothesis. Correct? You follow me so far? So, a dependent variable are things that you can change, are things that it is changed within the experiment, right? There could be multiple dependent variables, right? There could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, however many dependent variables you can have, right? Now, here's the problem.
Give me an example.
The problem. So I'll tell you one thing right now. Let's say, for example, in the experiment, the sun and photosynthesis, what things are gained based on the sun giving us its rays, its power, the heat, the warmth, right? The plants can grow and feed, so you have vegetation. Us as humans, we can get vitamin D. So the plants and humans would be the dependent variable, because why? We are dependent upon what the sun gives us, because one, the sun gives plants food for photosynthesis, right? And the sun also makes us healthy because it gives us vitamin D. So we are the factors that change, because without the sun, we will be affected. The flowers would die, the plants would die, and us as humans, we would basically freeze to death, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we are dependent upon the sun for our survival, for several things,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So we will be an example of the dependent variable. Now, in that scenario, what is the independent variable? The independent variable is the one thing that cannot change. It's the one thing that has to be there in order for the whole experiment to work. And in the example that I just gave you, the sun would be the independent variable, meaning the sun cannot change. But here's the problem with the independent variable. In every experiment, there could be multiple dependent variables, but there can only be one independent variable. Only one. Now, how does this relate? Take it to God. When we talk about life, God is the independent variable by definition, because he has to be necessary. If you have more than one thing that is more than one thing that can be of God or that can be God, that is no longer God. It's like saying if you have two gods, you have no God. Because why? Yeah. By definition, God has to be one. Because if you have more than one, that means one of those two.
I'll refute to that. I mean, you can.
I'll land. Because if you have two gods, if you have something else that could be God, what does that mean? That means one of them is unnecessary, meaning one of them does not have to be here. So if one of them goes, then that means he's no longer God to begin with. So that's the whole idea of what we mean. Oh, you said what?
How is that a necessary condition?
Okay, I'll give it. Okay, it's necessary because when we talk about God, God is all powerful, right?
No, hold on.
Now,
these are qualities that you're giving to God.
No. These are qualities that God has to have, because if he's the creator, he has to have these qualities.
This is only your understanding of God. This is not what.
No.
Okay,
philosophically, a necessary existence must be all powerful.
Hold on. Before we jump into that discussion, first we have to, differentiate between.
But the fact that you are pointing out to him that is our understanding. No, that's not our understanding. Because the reason why he's saying that to you is, or philosophically, do you know why philosophically he must be all powerful? Do you actually know, like, philosophically why they argue it from that perspective? No. Okay, because if he is not all powerful in a possible universe, he could be all powerful, or he will have more or less power. Hence, that will render him contingent, not necessary anymore.
And also, if he's not all powerful, then legitimately you could ask the question: is there something more powerful than him? And if there's something more powerful than him, he's no longer God, because by definition there can be nothing higher than the necessary being. That's why the necessary being has to have all the power. Because if he does not have all the power, then you start asking the question: what is higher than the?
So that's why. Okay, that's why
this person.
Yeah. So of course, I mean, this is the Abrahamic understanding of God, and that's what I've been pointing out so far.
No, my friend. It's not the Abrahamic understanding. It's the actual meaning of what it means to be this being we call God. It's religions outside the Abrahamic faith also share this concept alone.
No, they don't.
At least Ali, what
yes,
we
they
need
do.
to do. 1 second, Prasoon. Ali, what we need to do is not even refer to this agent as God, because the word God, it has baggage in there. Because I've had these discussions with people from different faiths. The moment you actually mention the word God, they think, okay, you have some preconceived notion. So Prasoon, what we're going to do is we will not mention the word God in there. Okay.
Right.
At the moment, Alie is not even talking about it from the Abrahamic faith's perspective. This is all philosophical tangent we're going on.
Right.
Because remember, this is why I told you that if he does not have, all the necessary attributes, such as all powerful, in a possible universe, you can imagine him to have that. Hence, that will render him contingent. This is philosophy. This has nothing to do with Hinduism, Abrahamic faiths.
I'll counter that point.
Yes.
Right. So you're saying that the possibility of this and if I would say the primal cause, is that a good definition? A good word to use, primal cause.
Sure. Go ahead. Yeah. For us, it's not an issue. You were, because you mentioned this again and again, that we were talking from the Abrahamic religion's perspective. So I was trying to help the conversation move along more smoothly.
So of course there's a lot of every there's a lot of baggage we carry in a view of the world, and I'm just making sure that we are beyond all of that while we're having this discussion, and we're not sticking to any dogma over here. So when we say the primal cause has to be it is the primal cause. There is no cause before that, right? And now you're saying that it has to be it has to operate by itself. Is that what you're saying? In order to say that the God is most powerful, or that's what he said, right?
Yes. All of the explanation has to come from within itself.
Right. But we say even for the primal cause to cause, right? There's a second factor that comes into play, and that is the role of condition. So if the primal cause decides to create, so there's a condition. It's of no creation and creation, no intention and intention. So the intention now becomes the secondary, the secondary cause, without which the primal cause
I wouldn't actually render it as quote unquote cause. No, that is his application of that attribute. Why are you referring to it as cause? Can you elaborate?
Let's say I want to create something, but the moment I decide to create, right? That's the beginning of my process.
Forget about creation. Let's actually simplify it, right? I have this cell phone in my hand, right?
Yes.
It was on the table. I lifted it up. Who caused it to be lifted up?
Now there are two factors in play over here. One is the first is your intention. The first
intention has to come. No, I'm talking about the agent. Who is the agent that acted upon this?
Your physical body is the agent.
Right.
Physical body is the agent, right? And then there's the conditions that unless your physical body moved, that phone would not have been picked up.
Right. But all of that is part of me as an agent, right? It's not separate from me. My ability to pick it up, my neurons, my brains, everything, my hand.
Your body is the active agent,
right?
But your body moving and picking it up, the laws of physics and those kind of things which exist before your biology, those are the conditions which need to exist. Would it be picked up if you did not do anything, if you had no intention?
No.
Right, exactly. So then you have intention, and that intention translated into action by which you pick it up.
But I understand that. But what I'm saying is, why are you separating those two? All of that is part of me as an agent. My intention, my intelligence, all of those are part of my attributes. Those are what, like, you're separating the physical from my physicality from my attributes. I'm not following that part. So yes,
your attributes, as in what attributes of yours?
Can you repeat?
I mean, where did I separate your physicality and attributes?
Because when we were talking about God, you kept giving this, like, because you said there were two different conditions. For me,
no, that.
And then even with the example of the cell phone, you said no, there's a separate condition, underlying condition.
Yeah, the underlying condition.
Yeah. Okay.
The yes no state. The yes no state is the second condition, right? Without which all of it doesn't make any sense. When I picked this up, I had an intention to pick it up. My body picked it up, right? Yeah. But if I had no intention, would it still be picked up? Would it still be picked up?
No.
Right? So the intention is the first cause, but the picking up.
No. Okay. So then we're not agreeing on semantics, right? So I don't agree. I think that this is the distinguishing part that I wanted you to elaborate. I don't agree that my intention is the cause. I am the cause. My attribute of
when you peel back.
Sorry.
When you peel back intention, definitely you are the cause. But we are talking about something more. We talk something about something.
So I mean, you're making, Prasoon, with all due respect, you're making it overcomplicated for apparently no reason at all.
It is. You see, Vedanta actually is a pretty a dicey subject for many people to understand, and that's why, I mean, me discussing it with you guys, it's
not about understanding. I understand what you're saying. It just doesn't follow. And I'm, in a philosophical discussion, we have to be able to agree on terms. You're using terms very colloquially and vaguely, and they don't make sense. Because the moment you actually use the term cause, you have to actually be within the paradigm of metaphysics or philosophy, and you're not using them correctly.
So here we have to understand what exactly we mean by cause and effect. So in Hinduism, we understand the world through cause and effect, and
and this is why Ali told you not to get into Hinduism, because we don't want to bring in all of that baggage in there.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. So we are talking at a philosophical level for now.
Definitely, we'll talk.
You keep blaming us for doing that, and we actually haven't even done that. We're staying at
blamed you with what? I mean, where did I mean? I'm not
blaming you. You kept pointing out to Ali that this was the Abrahamic understanding
in an earlier
right? But now you're doing the exact same thing that you accused us of, even though we were not doing that, right?
No.
So going back to what we were talking about, right? Let's start from the beginning. This is why Ali asked you that when we actually look, let's say this mouse, right?
Yes.
Why do I refer to it as a mouse? Because of its attributes, right? Its shape, color, its functionality, etc. Right? Human beings. Why do we refer to us as human beings? Because we have to have certain attributes that we associate with who we refer to as human beings. Same thing with animals, trees, everything around us, right? So what Ali was basically asking you is, give us the attributes of God. Let's have a mutual understanding, else we're not going to move on.
Okay, so now we're closer. Ali, is that your question?
Yes, Ali?
Yes, it is.
Right. So the thing is, when we have whatever attributes we give to God, these are human concepts. Because whatever we can understand.
I disagree again. I disagree. And this is where we have reached an impasse, I think, because we keep repeating this to you. This is not, look, 2 + 2 is 4. It has nothing to do. It's like it's not dependent on my mind that 2 + 2 will be 4 in any possible.
It's the reality.
It's a reality.
It's a physically verifiable reality.
It is verifiable, but even if it were not verifiable, it would still be true. Do you agree or not?
Counting and verification, as you know, maths is an application of philosophy, and that's what.
Yes, but I'm saying, like, we're talking about truth, right?
Yeah,
we're talking about truth.
When we're talking about a physically verifiable reality, and then there's spectrums of reality beyond that, which we cannot measure through our senses or measure.
Wait. So wait. You just said that is math itself is abstract. So the fact that 2 + 2 = 4 is not a physically verifiable. Yes, you can use this concept as far as it's not something that is physically verifiable as far as the concept. Why? Because by itself there is no concept of four, like what Fawad was talking about, this idea of there's a four somewhere. No, you use it through other means. For example, you can see the concept of four based upon apples. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 apples. You can count, but that within itself is abstract. So you use physical means and physical methods to identify the abstract concept of counting numbers. That's what math is.
In the physical world, all concepts are related.
So when you talk, let's get to the crux of the matter. Really, when we talk about attributes, right? Attributes, it by itself is not a man-made concept. It's not a language that only man understand. For example, this idea of having the attribute of being all powerful. There are ways in which we can understand it. We can understand the what it is. The only limiter is because we as humans don't have this attribute. We cannot conceive we can't fathom this attribute of being all powerful. We don't understand the how. However, when you say a being or something has all the power, that within itself is something that you can identify with the being known as the necessary being, the first cause, or the uncaused, the other uncaused cause. That's what we use to identify as based on attributes. And it's these attributes that we, one second, please. It's these attributes that we use to identify identity. Simple. You can identify, let's say if I say, hey, something has 4 legs, it barks, most of the time it has fur, it eats dog food. Now, what am I talking about? Am I not talking, did I say this animal is a dog? No, but obviously, but simplicity wise, you can understand that I'm saying, well, it eats dog food. So you can say, oh, this is a dog. What did I do? I explained its attributes, literally.
In common language.
Because why?
You explained it in common language. So before that, you need to have a concept.
I explained it using, not necessarily common. I explained it using attributes. We can identify attributes, yes, through language, but I don't have to say language for you to. I don't have to say it has this. All you can do is you can identify it. If you see something, wait a minute, it has 4 legs, it has fur, but for the most part, it barks. You don't have to use language to do so. Now, we use language as a form of communication. That does not mean it's a limiter. That does not mean it's inhibitor. And this is how we identify attributes. The only problem is, unlike the dog, when it comes to metaphysical attributes, things that we associate with the metaphysical, we cannot see it. We cannot, in a sense, verify through our physical means. That's why we have this concept of relying on language to do so. The same way how you can say God. Have you ever seen God?
All right. So now I'll tell you.
I'm asking you. Have you ever seen God?
See, then again, now you have a different notion of God. I have a different notion of God.
Sorry.
So if I say
no, how about this? Okay. How about this? Let me just say, have you ever seen something you've never seen before?
Yeah.
You've seen something you've never seen before?
Okay. He's gonna give you a little bit of a gimme there, man.
Can you imagine a color that you have never seen?
You mean to say, can you imagine it? No, I cannot imagine.
No. He said, have you ever seen something you haven't seen?
Yeah, of course, we do it all the time, right? There are things that we don't see early and then we see it later. That's how things happen, right?
No, he's saying.
No. I didn't say you will. I said, have you already, meaning past tense, seen? Have you seen something you've never seen before?
Yeah, I mean, unless you see it, you don't know. You never seen it earlier, right?
So the answer is no.
The answer to that question is no.
Hold on. What's the question here? You're asking me if I've never seen something earlier and then I see. Is that what you're asking?
No. I'm saying this. Okay, please try to listen. Okay, I'm saying, have you seen as past tense, right? Have you ever seen something you've never seen before? Past tense.
You mean in the past? In the past, have I seen something? So yeah. So the moment I've seen it, I've already seen it, right? It's now I've already.
No, but no. Okay. The answer to that question is no. Because okay, right now, okay, the year is 2024. The day is Thursday, right? For me, there are things that in my life that I've already seen from now until since the day I was born, right? There are things I've seen, correct? Now, there are also things within the past times I've been alive that I've never seen before, right?
Yes.
Cool. That or you can say that I've yet to see, right?
Right.
I in the past have never seen something that I've yet to see.
You in the past have never seen something that you yet to see.
I in the past I've never seen something that I will see in the future. Meaning, if it's something that I will see first time in the future, that means I have never seen it yet. Make sense?
You mean to say stuff
okay,
that
we can go on. It's okay. We can just go on.
No, hold on. You mean to say
because
stuff
we
that
got
we
other
in
guests
the past?
too,
Definitely not.
we gotta give you like maybe 5 more minutes, yeah, and then we
sure. Okay, fine. I think I'll squish down my explanations to answer to most of the questions right now. So when you said language is very important, right? When we think, because as human beings, when we think, we can only think in words that we already know of. Okay, we can perceive concepts and ideas only in words and the language words that we know of. Unless we have a word for something, we can't explain it, and we can we can't really think in those terms. And so therefore, in order to understand anything at all, our culture and our upbringing and our conditioning needs to have taught us those words. So the moment you say a certain thing, you already have a certain concept of it, and that's how you will correlate it to your existence. And that's why when we say numbers have been conditioned into us. They're conditioned through basic exposure and at a young age, where we learn how to correlate numbers to objects, and that's how we perceive numbers in our head. Because before that, we can't really count. I mean, you'll see a lot of people who have not been, not had a very good upbringing. They actually have a hard time understanding numbers, and just the way numbers are to be understood. The similarly, your reality around you has to be understood at a deeper level, unless you or else it's mundane reality. That's what things are.
Where are you going with that? What's the point of that?
So the explanation was the point was unless you have when we say that things exist by themselves, things don't exist by themselves. We create correlation of ideas to the physical world, and every concept that we have, the concept by itself doesn't it doesn't exist in let's say when we say two doesn't exist in a mere imagination. Two actually exists through correlation to certain physical objects.
Okay, but hold on, let me pause you right there real quick. Are you saying that without this correlation, the object doesn't exist?
The object exists. The object exists, right? But the number, the understanding of numbers is a prerequisite for you to understand the truth.
The understanding of numbers is a prerequisite for truth?
For you to understand the truth. For you. When I say one finger, right? You have certain correlation to this number through your upbringing, through your conditioning, and through.
What if the question wasn't a numerical one?
Yeah, I mean, ask me any question. Let's say a red car.
Okay.
You already have an idea of what.
So if I were to, I think you're missing the question that I'm asking you, because if the question is non-numerical, it can't have a numerical answer. So like, for example, if I were to ask you the question, is a creation the creator? Yeah, so you don't need to have mathematics to get to the truth.
No, definitely. So now we get into the complexity of what is the creation, what is the creator, those kind of debates.
Right. I think that's what the brothers were discussing with you in regards to attributes. So, for example, the attributes of a creator is that he's uncreated, and the attributes of a creation is that they are created.
Okay, so now, okay, right. So is that, Ali, are we on the same page now, Ali?
Yeah, that's what Muris said was what I've been trying to say. This idea of we learn how to distinguish identity based upon the attributes that the identity has. Because if you and I have the same attributes, then we can be identified as either the same species or even sometimes as the same person. It depends on what those attributes are. That's how we learn. So there's the way we distinguish between everything is we first have to learn the attributes of that certain thing, which includes this idea of the necessary being.
Right. So therefore, every idea that we talk about, we have to mull over it beforehand. We cannot have an idea, arriving at us randomly. I mean,
that's not
every
adjective. Right there. Let me pause you because I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to cut you off, and it's just because we got to welcome the other guests. I promise.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
that I want to tell you that that's not necessarily true. You don't have to mull every idea because if, let's say, for example, if it's daylight outside, I don't have to mull the idea if it's really daylight outside.
But you already have.
So like things are apparent at face value.
Hold on.
Very apparent at face value. You know.
You need to have an idea of daylight before you say that there's daylight outside. Just the way Ali said. Ali himself said, you cannot see something that you've not seen already. So basically, unless you have an idea of something already.
So do you agree with that? You're using my point. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you on the fact that unless you already know something, you will not be able to recognize it. Okay.
That's not what I said.
I don't. That goes against I think that goes against kind of what he said. He's saying that you can use your reasoning faculties to come to a conclusion in regards to something without actually looking for something like a hard evidence. And by hard evidence, I mean you can't look at the metaphysical through the physical. You can't do that. You can look at the creation.
We have
exactly.
You can make an inference. Like you can say, oh, okay, because I'm here and I'm created, therefore there must be a creator. That's what he's saying.
No. See, that again comes the question. What is the question? Which question are you asking? So when you say I'm existing, and therefore there was a creator, that's one question you can ask. The other question I can ask is how did this come to be? What was the most simplistic reason for my existence? What is the cause and effect?
Yeah, the most simplistic one is that there is one creator and that he created you.
Yeah, I mean that's one.
Everything else that you're saying is now syntax, bro. And that's the one thing I really like about you. And at the same time, I think it's kind of like your crux, right? Like you're this very syntactual individual, and there's certain things that you don't need to do that. It's one of those you're getting lost in the weeds, man. You're philosophizing about philosophy at this point. You're you know what I'm saying? Like there's just you're gonna have to draw a conclusion. You're gonna have to put in a line in the sand and be like, aha, I am here now.
No. See, I have reached aha points earlier. Of course, but then the thing is, the moment you have a certain vision of the truth is so large that you can't really communicate with others. Do you agree to that? Do you agree to the
question that what can't communicate? That what?
See, there are experiences that you have that you'll never be able to communicate to others.
You'll never be able to communicate the intricacies of what the experience is, as in like how I perceive the color yellow. I can't communicate over.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm trying to say is what you're doing is you're speaking in a realm, or you're taking this position in this realm that you need to be able to do those things in order to establish a proof.
Once you have those things, life becomes a lot more in control. Once you have those explanations, life surely becomes a lot more controllable and a lot more easy to operate, because when you have
that's a whole nother topic, bro. Anyway, let's save it for next time, man.
Sure. Another time.
I appreciate you, man. If you want, just stick around and we'll get you back in, but there's guests waiting in the back.
I'll be in the background. So I'll see you guys. See you
be safe, man. Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's very difficult to come to an idea of the truth about this necessary being if you can't even understand basic, foundational criteria that we have to use. So it's really difficult.
So I mean, we have to be clear ourselves before we start communicating with others. We have to be clear ourselves as to what these fundamental truths are, and then there's the whole business of communication, and that there's a whole lot of that's a different level of debate that we get into. So I'll stick around. I'll see you guys sooner or later. Yeah.
Okay. All right, bro. Do you want me to drop you, or you want to drop yourself?
Yeah. Can you? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I can drop you.